Come close and listen. In the silence before silence, in that great, yawning void of Ginnungagap, there was a story just waiting to be told. It's a myth that's etched in inkwash and ash, a tale of a universe caged in bone, and the one being who set it free by, well, setting it ablaze. This is the legend of the Red Spectre.
Think about that. That was the law of the beginning. A universe of frozen light, so stark and absolute. There was no chaos, sure, no decay. But there was also no warmth, no breath, no becoming. Just the cold, silent, unchanging truth of what was.
And in this beginning there stood a guardian, the Arbiter of Stasis. He was the sentinel of this silent world, the enforcer of its perfect, unchanging order. His whole purpose was just to maintain that absolute stillness, to protect existence from the very idea of falling apart.
So, how did he do it? Well, he wielded a principle known as the iron rime. The best way to picture it is like a metaphysical frost, a crystalline shell that encased every potential, every thought, every little flicker of movement. The intention was noble, you see, to shield everything from simply dissolving into nothing.
But here's the terrible paradox. The Arbiter's protection, it was so absolute that it became a tomb. By preventing any possibility of decay, he also snuffed out any possibility of life. This perfect structure, this sanctuary he guarded, it was really a prison where nothing could ever truly grow.
So the Arbiter, sensing this deep, profound emptiness, he journeyed to the exact opposite pole of existence, the creative furnace of Muspelheim. He was looking for an answer, some kind of solution, but what he found wasn't a tool or a weapon. No, it was a wound.
He reached into the fire and he received the Crimson Spark. Now you have to understand, this wasn't a gift, oh no, it was an infection, a vibrant wound of pure, chaotic life that invaded his frozen essence. That heat, it began to melt the iron rime from the inside out, a painful, agonizing transformation that just shattered the stasis he had known for eons.
And right here, you can see the profound shift happening inside him. That tomb of perfection he guarded, it gave way to the breath of life he now carried. The protective shell he once wore was shattered by a vibrant wound, turning his lifeless prison into a catalyst for evolution. He was no longer just the Arbiter. He was becoming something completely new.
Now transformed by this inner fire, the Spectre was dragged to trial before the chorus of gods, the Aesir. Their world, it was a place of stark, inkwash aesthetics, a realm of rigid lines and cold authority. Really, just a different kind of frozen perfection.
And that was their verdict. Can you believe it? They saw this newfound life, the crimson glow just beneath his skin, and they didn't see evolution. They saw corruption, a perversion of the cold, static ideal that they held so very dear.
But the Spectre, now seeing with eyes of both frost and fire, he understood the real truth behind their judgment. Their condemnation, delivered in that cold, rhythmic chorus, it had absolutely nothing to do with cosmic balance or justice.
He saw their judgment for exactly what it was, fear. It was just a desperate attempt to protect their own power, their own frozen authority, from the threat of the thaw that he represented. The irony is, their perfection was just as much an illusion as his had been. The Spectre could see it now. This deep internal hypocrisy, an invisible rust, a corrosion born from their own choices, was already eating away at the foundations of their supposedly perfect kingdom. Their entire system was just doomed from within. I mean, their sphere of law was constantly being undermined by manipulative cunning. Broken oaths were left to fester, creating a kind of moral rot. Their grand halls were nothing more than architectural vanity, hiding a structure that was destined to collapse under the weight of its own contradictions.
So, exiled but now enlightened, the Red Spectre finally understood his true purpose. He wasn't meant to be a guardian of stasis or a vessel of pure chaos. No, he was meant to be the necessary gardener, an agent of the great cycle itself.
His final trial took place in a meadow, and the flowers there, they were exquisitely beautiful. Every single petal was perfect. But they were dead, preserved forever in that stagnant perfection by the same iron rime he once championed. It was the ultimate symbol of a beautiful but lifeless past.
So first he just observed the stagnant beauty. Then he wielded his inner fire.
but not as a weapon of rage. He used it as a tempered, cleansing tool. He set the meadow ablaze. He watched as all that frozen perfection turned to ash, and then, from that blackened, nutrient-rich soil, he saw the very first green shoots of a new world emerge.
And so, the myth comes to a close. But it's not really with an ending, is it? It's with the restoration of a beginning. The Spectre's whole journey reveals the central truth of a living cosmos.
And this is the core lesson, that destruction is not just an end. The old, the stagnant, the perfectly preserved, it has to be burned away. Because its very ash provides the foundation, the nourishment for whatever is meant to come next.
He'd finally restored equilibrium to the universe. Not by choosing cold order over fiery chaos, or the other way around, but by understanding that you need both. He became the architect of that sacred, eternal cycle of death and rebirth.
And that leaves us with one last thought. This grim, ancient myth, it's not just about gods and the cosmos. It's really a parable for growth itself. So I'll ask you, what beautiful but dead ideas, habits, or structures in your own world are preserved in stagnant perfection, just waiting for the cleansing fire?